What's up, community? How everyone is doing today? How is the music? How is the sound? Excited to see everyone. Govar, how you doing? Hey Joel, how you doing? Camus, how you doing? What's up, everyone? Happy to see everyone. You know, today we are back with some code review. Okay, that live stream actually was super popular. I also feel like I literally launched a video on my YouTube channel about, you know, literally mistakes that developers do, which is kind of a segment of that live stream, and that was super popular. So today we are back with some more code reviews.
Castle.
Dripping Castle, thank you so much for the tier 3 months, dude. You're just awesome, man. You're just awesome. By the way, I just enabled the how is it called? I think it's every subscriber gets to say something. So in theory, every time you say something, when you are subscribing, when you are subscribing, the chat should just say something in your behalf. You know what I mean? I think like when you are subscribing the channel, you can literally have, you know, say something. So I think like the text you write when you are subscribing will basically make this live stream talk. Okay. So anyways, today we are code reviewing. Anyways, let's just say hello to everyone. CVTML, how you doing? Dragnet, nice to see you, dude. Yesterday I wasn't on the I wasn't the chat of the live stream between the Primogen and Taylor, but I wasn't there like physically, you know. I was kind of behind the scenes making sure everything was okay. Carlos Shanch, how you doing, dude? Nice to see you. Emmeline Dev, Kimidix. Hello, Ronald, how you doing? Dripping Castle, really appreciate your support, dude. You're just unbelievably awesome all the time, man. How you doing? Yeah, this feature I have enabled is called the text-to-speech. Indeed. Hadi, how you doing? Ben, Patrick, Nadan, Resilience, Ben again. Leo Ralph, how you doing? Leo Ralph is asking if I have seen the Laravel Reddit discussions. I haven't. No, I haven't. No. Which discussions are you talking about? Can you send me the link? George, how you doing? Claudio, James, how you doing, dude? Pick and Flow is saying that the stream was awesome. I would love to see you paired with Taylor or anyone on the Laravel team. Yeah, let's do it. I feel like I just need to find the perfect, you know, the perfect friend to just do some sort of coding session here, you know. Eco Deal is saying thanks for the Prism package video. Yeah, that was a good one, right? Anyways, today we are reviewing Laravel code. Okay, I feel like I have more fun when I'm reviewing Laravel code, so we are definitely doing some Laravel code reviewing. What I have done so far is I have tweeted right now asking for people to drop links of Laravel packages. Okay, so if you have a lot of, not a Laravel package, a Laravel application. So if you have a Laravel application you wish to have me review today, drop the link on this tweet, okay? And then I will literally review it, okay? Only Laravel apps, do not drop packages or whatever, okay? And the first app we are going to review is the Primogen Top Shelf, of course. Oh my god. Yeah, in case you don't know, basically Taylor and Primogen have kind of did an application yesterday in less than 24 hours or something, and you guys are asking me to review this, and obviously, you know, I don't think it's even appropriate that I review this because this app was kind of made during the live stream, and the goal is like set up a POC, I think. And you know, obviously they didn't follow any kind of things they used to do. I don't think Taylor, for example, you know, follows to the nail everything he have made here. You know what I mean? Drippin Castle is asking if I work with Joe Dixon. Yes, I do work with Joe Dixon for the last 40 years, I think. So Joe Dixon have joined the Laravel team to work with me on Laravel Cloud, and now we are working together on Laravel. No, to join me to work on Laravel Vapor, and now we are working together on Laravel Cloud. Leo Ralph is saying 700 upvotes. What are you talking about exactly? About the Reddit situation? Can you send me the link? Because I still don't have the link, so I don't know. I'm 35. That's my age. Drippin Castle is saying, you are spreading so much enthusiasm and knowledge. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate, man. Dukutan, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. PHP Dev 100, how you doing? Link to the post? Okay, let's see that. Let's see. Oh, here we have a few more. So I won't review packages, okay? I'm gonna only review literally applications. Nice. This seems to be an application, right? Nice. Okay. So we have 1 app, 2 apps, 3 apps already. I found these 2 apps literally just Googling Laravel apps on GitHub, which makes 4 apps already. I think this is okay. Dan, how you doing? So nice to see you again. Yeah, I think Primagen live streams are literally only for subscribers. That's why. My live streams at the moment, at least, they are available for everyone. But at the moment, I mean, actually, maybe I will put them all in for subscribers as well. I don't know yet. Okay, folks. Should we get started? Let's maybe start with this actions example, okay? So this is coming from php-dev-100, okay? And by the way, if you just arrived and you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro. I'm a PHP and Laravel developer. I love what I do. And recently, actually, I have made one live stream where I was literally reviewing open source projects on the internet, and you know, today we are doing the same. So people are sending me links, which you can do the same, by the way. You just have to send the link here. You can do the same. Send me a link of your PHP Laravel open source project application, okay, not a package, and I will review it live on the live stream. Okay, what's up, Adrian? Nice to see you, man. Adi is saying that Yarn is not supported on Laravel Cloud. Yeah, contact the support team. Pretty much sure that they will enable that for you. Okay. Punisher, I'm not reviewing packages, only applications. Okay. But I was just saying, I have an app made 2 years ago by a junior. Send me that, dude. Camus saying that my project is private. Can I add you for a review? I mean, I was not. There is a. I mean, why is it private though? Okay, add me to your review. Okay, we have another one from Barossa, Laravel phone book. A portal to manage contacts made in Laravel and JavaScript. Nice. All right, dudes, let's start with this one, okay? So this is an application where php-dev-100 was basically bootstrapped, I think, just to try actions. Let's read me. So he actually made a review just for me. You are so nice. Okay, basically, like, the review is kind of questions just for me, which is kind of, you know, kind of nice. Let me change the music here. Let's put here some lo-fi music. I'm kind of in a chill mode today. What type of music do you guys want today? I'm gonna go with some lo-fi hip-hop, if you guys are okay with it. You know, some kind of chilly, you know what I mean? What's up, Matt? Nice to see you, dude. Today we are reviewing PHP applications. Send me the link, man. Oh, okay, nice. Another open source project. I feel we have enough, though, already, right? I think we have enough. Yeah, so far. Then we come back into this to see. Okay, so this review is requested by php-dev-100 and is saying the following. How should I host my application? Should I use more PHP blocks? When I add a test, how do I should structure things, feature, unit testing, or folders? Not everything can be an action, right? Because then my code will be way too split up. Services are maybe a thing or no. Okay, let's take a peek. So this seems to be a to-do application. So if I go to my apps, typically I should be able to infer this from my models folder. Actually, I feel like the models folder tells so much about an app immediately. Like if you go to a models folder, and if you have like a small to medium size application, you can typically infer everything from the models folder, okay? And immediately from this models folder, I can already understand that this app is a to-do app, okay? Or yeah, a to-do app where there is like a user and there is also a task for each one of the users, which is okay. So far, everything is going great, okay? Oh, thank you, Ariand. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so let's start by understanding the entry point of this app. I'm gonna go to resources and click on views, not views, but web, routes, web, and I can see that we have a single Livewire component serving the entire application. This is actually okay. When you're working with, when you want to set up a POC, but just a small app, for example, it's actually pretty fine to have everything in the same Livewire component. I'm not against that, okay? I think that's actually pretty cool. Is this dude using Volt or regular Livewire? So this is regular Livewire. So this is the Livewire component, which we can see already the few things here immediately, right? He's using attributes for validation. Very good and important thing. Besides the fact that he is validating the input, he is also setting minimum and maximums in some of these validations, okay? I have seen in the past people who just confirm that the given attribute is required, but also a string, but they forget like the minimum and the maximum, meaning that if the user provides something like 1,000 characters, that will make a potentially a runtime exception because the database is not ready, okay? So when you are validating an attribute just like this, be sure to put always the minimum and always the maximum. No matter the type of the attribute, can be an integer, can be an array, you need to always validate the content in terms of, you know, maximum and minimum sizes, okay? Adrian is saying the component in the model name have the same name, which is not the best. I agree with you totally, Adrian. The day is yet to come when I don't agree with you, by the way, okay? So Adrian is saying a very good point. Typically, this Livewire component should be called list of tasks, you know, or task lists potentially. Because effectively, you are possibly displaying a list of tasks and, you know, and having the same Livewire component name as the model name will make you make things like this, which typically, you know, just make my eyes hurt a little bit. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you, George. I will check that in a second, okay? By the way, if you just arrived today, we are literally reviewing Laravel apps, real Laravel apps, you know? So if you want to learn a few things, just send me a repo and I will do my best to give you good insights, okay? A very good and important situation here is that so far, we have talked about actions, but outside of Livewire. We have talked about actions on controllers only. You guys remember that? And he is using actions on this Livewire component, which is potentially a good thing. We are about to find out, okay? Declare strict types on the top of the file, very important thing to enforce type safety. And what else we have here? Okay. Here we are missing, oh my God, what's happening with my Zoom? Okay, here you are missing the max 255. Okay, 255 here missing as a validation. Potentially, if you are saving this description somewhere, which potentially you are right here, this will make a runtime exception if the database is not ready for the entire world as a string. Okay, so here you want to make sure you validate the size of the description, so this would never fail. Okay. So let's start by going here to this list of collections. What is this? Okay, when my component mount, I will literally load all the tasks to this attribute. Interesting. By the way, guys, this is the daily reminder. Do not forget, drink water and go outside every single day. You know, I know that today remote working is something that every single one of us is almost doing. So be sure to go out every single day, exercise every single day as well, drink water, eat healthy, very important, okay? Okay. I can see that literally on the mount component, you are loading all of the tasks you have in your database to this tasks collection. Now, one very important thing that people tend to forget a little bit is that every single thing you put as a public attribute in your Livewire component is exposed to people. Okay, so if you are putting models in your Livewire component as an attribute, every single people will have access to the attributes of that model, except the hidden ones. Okay, this is not something necessarily bad. I tend to avoid that. I tend to avoid exposing models on my Livewire components because all the attributes will be publicly available to everyone. So I try to avoid that. So what I technically like to do is, instead of doing something like this, I like to basically use the render, which would be right here, to return the list of tasks. In here I can control exactly what I'm sending to the front end instead of like sending the entire model. Okay. I understand that the task description on the database is a text. However, you want to always validate the input. Imagine if people here sending you a million sizable string. You want to avoid that, you know what I mean? So just set a sensible default right here. But yeah, so here I would avoid to have to do this, and I would basically have this computed thing, or as a computed prop, literally on the render method. Okay. What else we have? So the UI though will trigger this create task, which is binded, which has binded all these attributes, which is okay. So all of this stuff is actually okay because you are calling the validate up front. So I like the way that you have injected the action here. So create task action, you call the validate, you perform the action behind the scenes, and finally you reset all of the attributes. I would be surprised if Livewire doesn't allow you to reset all the attributes without providing him every single one. I think you can just call this reset, and they will basically reset the entire form without having you to perform or to provide all the arguments like this. Yeah, that's what I was saying. This task should have been called task list. Okay, just by the way, something very important, and I want to put this out there. When you are reviewing code altogether, it's not roasting code or saying bad things about people. We are literally learning all together how can we make our own codes better. My own code, your own code, and we are learning all together. It's not roasting. I myself, I have a bunch of bad code out there, okay? I have a bunch of bad code out there. As an open source developer for the last 10 years, I have a bunch of bad code out there, okay? And you know, the fact that you people are sending me repos tells me a lot about you. Tells me that you guys are keen to learn and to become better, okay? But yeah, so basically, I would call reset without any argument, so I could reset all my form. And finally, because loading the tasks will be a computed prop on my render function, you wouldn't need to do this, or this, or this. Okay, because automatically the tasks will be computed every render. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this. I would move this query right here as a computed prop while rendering my component. So every time I'm rendering my component, I'm literally recomputing the list of tasks. So when I do that, I no longer need to load tasks every single action I perform because that prop will be recomputed. That's why it's a computed prop. Okay, I don't know, you guys let me know. I don't know if in Livewire this is called the computed prop. That's how I would call this in React in Vue. Imperator is saying, how do I submit a code or a project? Just send me the link here on Twitch or on my socials, okay? So basically I have my Twitter open. I'm going to send you this, okay? Feel free to put your code right here or just send me the list here on Twitch as well. That works as well, okay? The only problem is that if you guys send me stuff on Twitch, I may just lose it basically, okay? Oh, very good point. Very good point from Resilius, which is, I think, for improving the code readability, this thing right here, this thing right here, and this thing right here, actually not this one, but this one and this one could have been called just names, basically, okay? Let's copy this actually and put this in our own code. So let's go here into our app directory. Let's call this Livewire, and I would do a task list.php, which would have been my Livewire component. Okay, let's increase the font because, you know, it's the usual stuff. PHP Storm, Cappuccino, you know, font 23, bam bam boom. Here we go. Okay, so as a recap, this would have been task list, this would have been just name, this would have received potentially a description of, you told me that is a text, that's big, yeah, but I'm gonna keep it in 255, but potentially here you can go to a sensible default, okay? This is duo date, okay, when the task needs to be finished. I don't dislike the duo date name. However, I like to finish my dates with "ut." So potentially something I would do here is, yeah, I don't know. I would potentially find something that allows me to finish with "ut." You know what I mean? Duo "ut," you guys think? Something like this, potentially? Leo Ralph, thank you so much for the donation on YouTube. Leo Ralph is saying the following: I have a big production API. It's private, but I already invite you. Feel free to review. I cannot send the links here. Okay, I will. If I have time today, I will do it. Otherwise, I will do on the next live stream. Okay. Mixilium, I don't like Duo because just like booleans, I like to prefix or suffix them so they can tell me the intent immediately. When I see something like ut, like created ut, updated ut, finish it ut, I know exactly that behind the scenes, this is a timestamp, okay? And when I see something like is finished, I know it's a boolean because of the is. So I feel like I want to look at this property on my database or on my models, and it immediately speaks to me the type of the attribute I have behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have this because literally we are performing this query as a computed prop. This is what a computed prop looks like in Livewire, okay? Just like this. I'm going to be back to this query right here because there is a problem. So this would have been just reset. Can you guys let me know if Livewire accepts just reset to fully reset the component or the form so we don't have to provide literally all the properties? Can you guys let me know? Expires ut would have been a good name. I like duo ut though. Okay, so we no longer need load tasks because we are computing everything all the time. So we don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this. I like the reset here. On the inertia, I also have to call this clear errors, which is annoying. I don't think we need to do that in Livewire. In inertia, I also have to do this. Okay. So on your review, you asked for PHP annotations. Okay. I like PHP annotations. Okay, but I'm a little bit different from other people. Typically, I like PHP annotations because I like to add a little bit more value to what this function is actually doing. So, you know, this is something that not a lot of people agree on, but I like to kind of say, you know, create a task in a, like something like this, create a task for the logged in user. Okay, I liked some kind of these descriptions like this. They are beautiful. You don't have to do it. Okay, so I won't even put it here. So this will be just name, just description. This would be duo ut. Everything will be validated up front, so you can effectively access these attributes just like this. The complete task is calling your action behind the scene. So this is actually perfect. However, nothing. This is actually perfect. The task model can't be called just task because we have already renamed this task to task list. So this can effectively be called just task. Finally, I don't think, this is again a personal preference, I don't like dispatching queue jobs from my controllers. I would always dispatch queue jobs from my actions. Okay, so typically what I would do here is I would probably rename this clean up all tasks. What I think you want to do here, let me just confirm. When I click on app, jobs, clean up all tasks, okay, you want to basically delete the tasks that are completed, so you no longer see them on a UI, correct? Poke is asking, when doing final classes on Laravel Paint, how do we ignore a class that needs to be extendable? I can't remember, but I think like if the class is being extended already, Paint will not add it, that will not add that because it's risky. However, I feel you can probably use a PHP annotation to make Pint ignore that clause. Okay. Okay, so let's review this, okay? This cleanup completed tasks. I think personally, I would first of all not call this cleanup all tasks. Okay, I'll probably make it a little bit more clear. I would even go a little bit further to not call this create task, but just create. And also this I wouldn't call complete task, but just complete. Okay. And this one, personally, I will probably call this delete completed. Okay. And I would never do this as a queue job. Technically, and again, all this actions pattern, by the way, this is typically something that you need for a big application or a medium to big application. If you're doing just a simple to-do app, obviously you don't need to dispatch actions. You can probably do everything here. But if you want to stick with a true actions pattern, I would potentially inject something here. Okay, this will be delete completed. But again, you really need to have a serious reason to dispatch a queue job, especially to interact with the database. To interact with the database, I almost never do as a queue job, unless the query or the work is actually heavy. Otherwise, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel that I would go directly to the action and just literally perform this query right there. Okay, something really simple. I would literally call or perform this query on the action itself and not do it as a queue job. Typically, a queue job exists for two reasons. Either the work is heavy, or the query is complex, which is none of the both cases. This thing right here will run in nanoseconds, just to give you a perspective. Roberto is asking if I will also review non-Laravel projects. I don't want to review packages, man. Review packages just takes so much more time to understand. So I don't want to review packages. So I think we are done with this livewire component. Let me just confirm. Yeah, I think we are. This is the end result. Oh, we forgot a very important thing. Do not forget, dude. You need to paginate these tasks. Again, will depend of what exactly are you building. If you are building something like, you know, Taylor and Primagen yesterday, where they don't really care the amount of questions and things like that, I feel like you want to always set a limit. That's basically what I want to say, okay? So every time you are accessing your database, always, but like literally always make sure there is a limit, okay? That limit can be done in two ways. Way number one, you can literally come here and say limit by 100, okay? That's just one idea. You can limit the number of tasks by specifying a number, just like that. Second idea is using pagination, just like normal. So you would come here and you would just type paginate and then provide the number, which is the second way you can use to ensure that you are not querying the entire database, basically. Yeah, I feel like this is just a POC of a project. Obviously there is stuff to talk about regarding here. I would also provide just task description and do it. I feel like possibly he didn't want to introduce the complexity of attaching this task to the given logged in user, but what we can do is go and see the create task action real quick. So I'm going to click on actions, create task. We have this create task. And what do we have here? Ooh, I like the fact, this is a very important thing, folks. I like the fact that he basically moved away the complexity of completing a task to a different action. So on this action right here is not even allowing to create a completed task. If you want to do that, create the task as a separate action, and then he completes the task using the complete task action. This is actually a very cool thing. You don't need to do this, by the way. Okay, if you're using casting, you don't even need to do this. This will just work. If you are validating the data properly, you don't need to do this. Just a question of naming. I would call this attributes. And I think I'm mentioning the obvious. You already know this because you already know this, but just for one single database operation, you don't need transactions. Mentioning the obvious. I know you know this because you have seen my previous videos, but typically database operations are only necessary if you have more than one database operation, okay? Oh, very good question from AZYXY again. Hi Nuno, login handler exception goes where? Action or controller? None. It really depends on the project, basically. On Inertia, I've been doing that directly on the exceptions themselves, meaning that if I am on my action and something exceptional happens, I'm literally throwing an exception that knows how to answer to the UI. And it's working quite well, in my opinion. But it's a complex topic. I would rather leave that for probably another live stream, if you don't mind. Great question from Lamin. How the data knows the incoming data? Okay, what I'm going to tell you what I use typically. If I have not a lot of properties, typically what I do is that I provide them right here one by one. So here it would be string name, and here it would be string description, and finally date, duo date. However, if you have a bunch of data, typically what I do, and this is a question of preference, you can do it a little bit differently, which is also okay, is that you have two options. You can do an array here, and you type the array using PHP standard annotations. Okay, so this typically would be, I'm going to just copy this real quick. And let's create here an actions folder and a create task action. Let's just do this. Typically what I would do here is something like this. Okay, this is just one possibility, and possibly I would call this attributes, because effectively is an attributes of my, you know, of my task. Okay, so PHP stand will basically ensure that everything or anything given to this attributes array will be always valid and always obey to this contract, which is effectively name as a string, description as a string, and duo date as a date. Okay. I never used that array shape, Adrian. I'm actually curious how you guys would define a DTO though. Okay, let's assume we are on this actions deal. Okay, we are on this actions deal. Let's actually create a DTO. This is something I have never made. How the folder will be named? DTOs, potentially, just like this. And within DTOs, we would have potentially create task arguments, potentially. Would I do it this way? Potentially, I don't know. Could be a read-only, correct? And use property promotion. What are you doing, AI? Here you go. So you would do it this way, right? Football Monique is saying, I would call it task data. The problem is that, in my opinion, what we are doing here is creating an object that will serve as a data carried object, or basically will carry the information of this action. As such, in my opinion, it needs to be at least prefixed with create task arguments or create task attributes. In my opinion, we are just basically taking this away and moving it to a different class. And effectively, PHP stand will equally enforce type safety with array shapes. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I see zero value on this. Just my opinion. It's also, I also think, like, if I were in the team, this is a very important thing to keep in mind. A very important thing when you are working as a team is ensure that everything is consistent, basically. Okay, so if on actions the team agrees on using always arrays, just stick with it in every single action you have. However, if the team says, no, most of us agrees that we should have a DTO for this, just always use DTOs all over the place, okay? Camo is saying that I think is overkill, this annotation should be enough. Yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion, okay? Resilience is saying, can we just use the Laravel resource classes? I think you are confusing a little bit. The Laravel resource classes are used for response APIs. That's it. A lot of you guys confuse services with actions, and I think I have talked about that a little, sometimes. I only use services to interact with external providers. That's it. Okay, so I never use services to interact with my own domain. So if I want to do things, I will always do them on my actions, okay, potentially right here or potentially right here. And services are literally only to interact with external providers. So let's say, for example, you need to do something like, let's call here private schedule or task scheduler, task scheduler. And this little service will interact with Google. You would inject it this way, and this will be your service, or would live on the services folder. Okay. So do not create services to encapsulate the actions or whatever. That doesn't work. It's just literally for, interact with external services. But again, this is a question of terminology, in my opinion, as well. I agree with you, Roberto. The worst thing when everyone on the team is when people start using different things everywhere, I agree with you, dude. I totally agree with you. Hey, Rafi, nice to see you, dude. How you doing? Just by the way, Rafi, I don't know if you noticed, the video I have made on my YouTube channel about reviewing your code, it's literally the fastest growing video I have on my YouTube channel. So this video, I have a few videos which are popular, like for example, this one or this one or this one. None of them have or were as fast growing as this one. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. What else do we have to review on this project? So I think like the overall code was good to begin with. We just made minor improvements, of course. Oh, we have an API. What is this? Ooh. Okay, I'm not familiar with this package or whatever this package does. I like the fact that you are documenting your API next to application method. Okay. However, there's a few things about this which we may have to discuss. Interesting. Very interesting. So, okay, let's talk about this. So basically, on the concept of working with a to-do application, he has a UI which serves, you know, the purpose of creating a task and deleting all the tasks and mark tasks as completed, but also is serving an API. My first question when I see this API is he using API versioning? Let's see that. Let's click on routes, API, and he's using API versioning. This is very good. Congratulations. You just avoided a nightmare. Very good, okay? So every single time you're working with an API, be sure to always start with v1 as a prefix of your API. This is very good practice because if you want to change how your API behave, you can do it easily by incrementing a number here, because the old people or pretty much everyone else will still rely on the old behavior, but the new people will rely on the new one. Very good. Stripe payment should be a service because it interacts with an external API. So every single time we're talking about things that don't belong to your domain, you just shove them on the services folder, okay? Yeah, Camus, I also think that's the reason why the video got so popular. I feel like I want to do more of this. I want to, you know, I like basically like the live streams that I have most fun is when I'm discussing with you guys, okay? When I'm constantly interacting with you is when I'm having the most fun. And if this kind of live streams allow me to do that, I'm okay with that. Dripping Castle, I agree with you, dude. I agree, yeah. I have maintained multiple APIs, and I can tell you already that versioning APIs is one of the best decisions you can make. You don't have to necessarily, just by the way, just to clarify a little bit to everyone, you don't have to necessarily have different controllers for the API v2. You just have to ensure that thanks to this, you know what behavior people are relying on, and you can literally tweak a little bit your from requests depending on the version they are using. Really works good, okay? But yeah, let's go back into the controller and see how this controller is actually being used. He's using something that I have never seen, which is these annotations. But I like the fact that you keep a little bit, you know, the description and next to the actual code. So I like that fact. I also like the fact, this is very important. Oh my God. Congratulations on actions again. You guys see like how we are reusing actions to our API? Very important. We are literally reusing this class action, not only in our Livewire code, but also on this API. Magic. This is how API actions are so powerful. It's literally like this. Great question from Falco 100, which is how about helper classes which are not an external service? For example, complex calculations, exporters, images, editors. So I talked a little bit about that on the previous live stream. I feel like when I want to do complex queries, I like to keep that queries on the queries folder. If I'm doing something like, for example, which is literally unrelated to anything I have at the moment on my folder structure, I like to put that on the folder support. Okay. Very good point from Agent, which is the following. He's injecting all the actions on the constructor and is not needed, which is indeed not needed. Typically, these actions are injected on the methods themselves, which would be here, okay? So we can have request action being injected using method injection, okay? Yes, actions may have other actions as dependency. I'm going to tell you an example on Laravel Cloud. For example, on Laravel Cloud, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have like organizations, applications, and environments. Each time someone goes there and creates one application, we automatically create the production environment. So what am I doing behind the scenes is that I inject the create environment action on the create application action. So if I call create application, I will automatically call behind the scenes or chain the call to the create environment. Everything within transactions. So if anything fails, goes all the way up. Would be nice to invite the person who coded that to the live stream. Dude, I mean, I'm literally asking for links. People just came here and sent me a bunch of links. I don't know these people, man. You know what I mean? I don't know these people. On Laravel Cloud, you can increase the HTTP timeout. Yes, you can do that from the settings. Yes, an action can call as many actions as needed. Just to clarify a little bit. So, for example, this create action, if you were to do like, I don't know, start something behind the scenes, potentially, let's call this private, create thread, assuming that that is threads on actions, which doesn't make any sense. Typically, the way you would do that is literally, you would call this. You know what I mean? This is how you chain actions. You would do all of this within the DB transaction, of course, okay? Again, if you have one single query, you want to avoid DB transactions. However, if you are using more than two queries or chaining an action, you always need DB transactions because you don't know what's happening here, okay? So this is how you chain actions, basically. Oh, thank you. I'm going to copy that link. Camus is asking, what is a DB transaction? Dude, that's a great question. I really appreciate you asking that. And I bet like some of you guys don't know what is a DB transaction. So I think that's a great question. So we can clarify a little bit. Let me try to come up with a good example. Okay. So a lot of you ask me why I'm always encapsulating my actions within a DB transaction. So the answer is simple. Typically within my action, I'm always perform complexity or complex. Typically within my actions, I'm always performing complexing tasks. Oh my God, my mouth is so. Typically within my actions, I'm always doing complex stuff. That might be, for example, interacting with my database or potentially interacting with multiple tables on my database. So here, for example, on this create task action, I'm obviously creating the tasks, but then I'm potentially doing the other things like creating my first thread of the tasks or potentially notifying other people. You know what I mean? So I kind of want to make sure that if any of these things goes wrong, I want to kind of roll back everything. So that's why DB transactions are so handy, because while performing all these database operations, if this DB operation goes wrong, my entire transaction will roll back. So it's just like nothing have ever happened, basically. So the database automatically will never create that task behind the scenes. So it's super powerful, and unlike what people may think, it doesn't actually lock tables, for example, in most of the queries. MySQL have things, very powerful things, just such as low-level locking, which is locking only the new rows you are interacting with, which is very, very, very powerful. It's very cool, Kamun, indeed. Enzuk13 is asking, how would we ensure that everything, these keys, for example, are within the attributes as array? I typically use PHP stand array shape, which is this thing right here. So PHP stand will ensure type safety, basically. Okay. Oh, great question from Olu, which is, how do you handle when action is using DB transactions, but also the chain of action, which is, could be potentially something here like this, chain action. But the chain of action is equally using a DB transaction. So natively Laravel supports something called nested transactions, meaning that only when the last one, or the parent one, we can say this, is actually done, everything will be performed. It's called nested transactions, and it's supported natively by Laravel. You don't have to worry about that, okay? You're welcome, Olu. You're welcome. Correct. We'll basically commit when everything is literally outside of a transaction. Okay, so here I can do how many transactions I want. Laravel behind the scenes will just manage this, you know, in a very smart way. Laravel is smart, my friends. Laravel is very smart. Okay, so basically the comments here are probably the same. You know, I would not prefix these things right here. I would equally potentially move this stuff to my own form requests. I like the way you abstracted actions away. This is cool. And what else? I like that you have used these annotations here to have the docs close to your own code, which is cool. I would inject the actions here, just like the form request. Yeah, good job, dude. This looks good. Okay, I think we can move to a second project now. We have 30 minutes. Jesus Christ. Live stream goes fast. What is this? There is any reason why you are using transactions in your migrations? Wait, what? Yeah, I don't think it's even a good idea that you use... Yeah, no. Okay, let's copy this. Let's go here. Migrations. Let's put it right here, for example. Yeah, you don't effectively need this. By the way, automatically MySQL, before doing any kind of modification in your schema, just like creating a table, for example, or modifying a table, will automatically perform a lock. That's just automatically by MySQL, at least. So you effectively don't need to start a transaction. So all of this stuff is literally unnecessary, basically. Okay. So I would literally remove that that transaction right there, and I effectively would remove this, just like that. Okay. YOLO is saying that create table is atomic operation. Yeah, which is what I was trying to say, but using simple words, I think. Correct. It's correct, Cardozo, exactly. Great question from Ralphie. Great question, which is, if you remove the down method, how you do a rollback? Well, the way I do a rollback is literally by creating a new migration and handle the situation accordingly. Okay? So I never roll back. I always move forward, basically, you know? That's how I handle the situation. Michael is gone? Is gone? What do you mean? Can you guys still hear me? I think you can, right? No? Yes? Now I'm confused. Okay, okay. Well, let me know if the sound is not okay. I do know that my microphone is kind of broken somewhere, so I need to fix this, but I'm so out of time. It's just crazy. All right, cool. Let's see this structure on the database though. So table ID, this is okay. Table string task name. Here you don't need task name. You don't need to prefix this with task. Anyway, you don't need to prefix your database like this. This will be duo at. Oh, this will be timestamp, by the way. Here you have a boolean, which is okay. Is completed, which is okay. You don't need a default. So by the way, you are literally specifying on the action how you want this database to be. So you don't need a default here, okay? You also don't need the description to be nullable, do you? Because if you are requiring a description on your tasks list, which is this one, effectively it can never be null. So you can literally scope a little bit this nullable by removing it. You also don't need this. This is a default length in MySQL. Undeniably, I have seen a few database drivers in the past which created different length from my string types, depending if I'm providing the values or not. Regardless, you don't need this, okay? I don't use seeders, dude. That's another. I'm so controversial. I don't need. I don't like seeders, dude. I have never seen a project where the seeders didn't went outdated. Like literally, the seeders never end up replicating any sort of real behavior because they always go outdated. They are a nightmare to maintain. I don't like seeders. Just burn with hell, seeders, dude. I don't like seeders. All right, folks, write on the chat. Do you like seeders? Say yes. If you don't, say no. Why all the time? We have literally... Okay. Okay, we have like mixed feelings. I have people saying that I like seeders, people saying that they don't like seeders. Interesting. Wait. Just to clarify. Okay. Just to clarify. Okay. If I were ever to use seeders, they are for development purposes only. Okay? No. Okay. I need to clarify this, okay? I need to clarify this immediately, okay? Some of you are thinking that seeders are for seeding production data, and that is wrong, okay? Seeders, or seeders in Laravel at least, they are only for development only, okay? If you need default data in production, you use migrations. Is that clear? Is that clear for everyone? Okay, let's write everyone right. Only for development. Seeders only for development, please, for the God's sake. Oh my God. Okay, you literally use seeders in production? Oh my God. Oh. Arakatoy, how you doing? First time chat. If you just arrived, team, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. I love what I do. Today I'm here with the Nuno Nation, reviewing some code in Laravel PHP. Okay. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the situation, because it's kind of important, okay? It's kind of important, okay? All right, folks, let's clarify this. Seeders, or at least everything within the seeders folder, is only for development purposes, okay? So if you are one of those folks who wants to kind of feed a bunch of information locally, kind of to see like your local project look like a production app, okay, you can use seeders. I'm okay with that. Just don't use it in my project, but you can use it, okay? However, if you need information in production, use migrations. I'm going to show you an example, okay? So the traditional example of seeding production information, it would be something like this. Let's go here and type PHP artisan make migration add user types. Okay. Oops. Migration. Of course, now I have like everything is incorrect. Here we go. Add user types. Let's assume that for any reason you need a table to store your user types because you are managing that through Nova potentially, okay? So the way it would work is that you would have something like this. Now imagine that you need to seed this table of user types. You would not do that within a migration. Instead, you just do the following. You come here and you type enter, okay? Just like that. Yeah, I know, pure magic. I know. And then you would do the following. You would come here and you type for each type I have on my on my system. This could be potentially enum, anything really, but for each time I have on my system, ideally something static that doesn't change over time. For each one of those types I have on my system, I'm going to insert them on the database, okay? So this is how you seed production database, okay? You don't use seeders, you don't use commands, you just shove them and you put them on your migrations. Is that clear? Please, for the God's sake. No commands, just right there on your migrations. That's it. No questions asked, okay? You're welcome, dude, you're welcome. I mean, just right away, this is just my opinion, okay? This is just my opinion. I understand that some of you may have different opinions, and that's okay. Because I'm telling my opinion based on my experience, which is, which is just my experience. You guys may have different opinions on this stuff, and you may disagree, exactly. Dude, I don't even think seeders are loaded by Composer in production. Let me check. Oh, they are. Okay. Anyway, it's just, it's just my opinion, okay? By the way, Adrian, do you agree with me on this one? Because if you don't, it'll be probably the first time you disagree with me. Do you agree with me on this one or not? 100%. No. Seeders are still okay for local stuff. Just don't use it for production. That's it. Okay, we need to talk a little bit about what type of queries you need to do. One very important thing about seeders, especially migrating or seeding stuff in production, is that you need to make sure this information right here will not be changed ever in the future. So ideally, you want to avoid models, for example. Okay, you want to avoid models, you want to avoid enums that may change in the future. Ideally would be only static information. So it would guarantee that within 10 years, your project could be upside down. This migration will still work. Okay. Driven Castle is asking, Adrian, is that a 100% agree or a 100% disagree? No enums, illegal enums here, okay? The reason why enums are illegal here, well, I'm talking about PHP enums. Like, why wouldn't, if your question would be something like, why not use something like this? The reason it's because if you are running this migration within 10 years from now, potentially this enum will be different, causing different information inside. So we want to avoid that, okay? Just by the way, I'm trying to understand what's being said here. Just one important thing here is that you would never use factories, by the way, okay? Factories, like, especially factories, using seeders is wrong, but using factories is even more wrong. Like, factories really, you want to avoid factories as much as possible in your migrations because you cannot even use them. Like, if you were to use something like this would require dev dependencies, just like Faker, for example. Okay, so this is like illegal. This you cannot really use. This is like forbidden by the gods of Laravel, okay? But yeah. I prefer, Key1 is asking if I prefer Express.js or Laravel and why. They are two different things, Express.js is just a routing framework, Laravel is a full beast, so totally different. Oh, Camus, that's so nice, dude. Since watching your stream today, I already fixed a few things on my project. That's so good. Thank you for saying that. Is PHP any good in 2025? Dude, PHP will conquer the world, man. And I will be the one helping PHP doing that, Oh, very important thing. Someone is mentioning, like, talking about events. That's another reason why you would avoid totally models here. That's a very important thing. Actually, just avoid as much as possible, if not always, avoid models here. Literally use the DB table facade. Like, because if you are using models and you have the idea of bypassing actions, which you shouldn't, but you have the idea of using events, like user created and then send an email, you know what I mean? Then you run migrations and you are sending emails just out of nowhere. So again, avoid models, just use the DB table facade, clean, simple, normal, bam, just works, easy peasy, okay? Ooh, great question from my friend on Twitch with the name Eloronal, which is asking, why are you not using models if the migration runs only once? It does run me once, for sure. Are you sure about that? Imagine that you are a SaaS and you are providing self-hosts to other people, for example, and those people are going to run your migrations potentially, and you have models over there. Those models fire events. Those events answer to emails and things like that. Bam, you will be sending emails just like that. You need to think a little bit like, what happens if this project will run this migration in 10 years from now? You need to work that way, okay? Boom, 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 boom. Dude, it's just crazy. Why everyone asks me stuff about multi-tenant pretty much every single day? Like, I don't want to lie to you guys, but I would say I have 10 messages a day, which makes 300 messages. No, not 30. Yeah, wait, what? Yeah, exactly. I have literally 300 messages a month about how would you do multi-tenants on Laravel. We need to do a live stream, like a live stream about multi-tenancy on Laravel. It's just crazy. Like literally, how to do multi-tenancy on Laravel. And we need to talk about that. I've never used tendency for Laravel, by the way. Yeah, I've never used this. I don't know what this is about. I think we are done with this project. Anything here? Not really. I like to disable this though. On my apps in Laravel, I always disable this by default. This health endpoint. I think Livewire is awesome. I mean, it will continue to be awesome. Okay, so this, I would potentially do all those good, you know, I have made a video about that on my YouTube channel, but potentially here I would potentially have all the calls that I typically have on my app service provider. We talked about that already. So if you don't know, if you haven't watched this, something I always do, I think I have that on Penstorm. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, on Penstorm, which is this project we are developing together, which suddenly I've stopped, I have this app service provider, which does some of the things I really like, you know, pre-beat destructive commands, configure dates to be immutable, model on guards, model should be strict, force HTTPS, very important one, and aggressive prefetching. On Laravel Cloud, I have a bunch of them, like literally 1 trillion lines like this that, you know, enforce things on my Laravel apps. Okay, you guys want to do another project today? Let's see what we have here. So thank you so much, php-dev-100 for submitting this project. I really appreciate it. And let's clap for php-dev-100 on the chat for submitting this project. And thanks to him, we have a very nice discussion. Clap to him. Thank you so much, dude. If you are on the chat, say thanks, okay? I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Let's go. Let's do another one before I go. What do we have here? Top shelf. I don't want to do this one. I mean, I spent 8 hours yesterday tracking this one. It's not even realistic. Like, you know, these guys were just building a POC. Yeah, I know, Adrian. Probably we're screaming so hard because you, like me, you wouldn't do the things in the same way, right? Okay, let's see this one. Maybe I need a smaller one though. Phone book. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, this one is coming from Oberosa. By the way, all the links you guys sent me, I'm going to save those links on my Sublime text, and potentially I'm going to review them in the future live stream. This one is coming from Oberosa, which is from Leiria. This is literally my town, by the way. Okay. Oof, what am I doing? Antonio Barosa, he's his name, and he have made the phone book. So to start reviewing this project, I feel like one of the things we can do is enter in the models directory. We talked about like how important is the models directory to try to understand what this app is about. And we have users, and I think users may have context associated with them, potentially. It is in Portuguese though. Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. This might be controversial, but typically I don't like to have my projects using more than one language. Okay? So here it would be just English all over the place, and you would use the translation helper if you really need things a little bit different on the UI. Okay? What do you guys think about this? I personally don't like to see things in different languages on my database. What do you guys think? Yeah, but here I would go to only English. By the way, I'm not fan of fillable. Okay, so on my models, typically the only thing I specify, which is something we never talked about, but we can talk about today. Regarding models, I like to keep my models as slim as possible. Okay, so my Laravel models typically only have two things. Okay, the list of hidden fields. This is very important, especially if you ever leak a model to the UI. Thanks to this hidden, these attributes will never leak to the front end. Okay, very, very important. So you keep the hidden, very important. Just below, you have obviously the casting. In the last thing I have on my models, and I don't have anything else. That's it. This is the last thing I'm going to add, is my relations. Okay, so in the case of this project, I'll possibly have many contacts, which is probably the case. So this is three things I have on my Laravel projects always: relations on my Laravel models, relations, casting, and the list of hidden fields. Nothing more. Literally this. Okay, and obviously a little bit of traits like factories, soft deletes, etc. I don't use scope. I don't use scopes again. I don't use relations as traits. Just by the way, today I was reviewing code and I saw that someone literally starting to do things like this. I don't like to do this as well. Okay, I keep my relations as simple as possible, so the people who are consuming these relations on my models, they have the raw native relation to do whatever they want to do with this. Okay. Exactly. Exactly. To abstract the scopes, yeah. Yeah, again, Adrian, I would typically do something like this, or potentially have, you know, my own queries folder. But I like this. I like the fact that, you know, the scopes are abstracted away to a builders folder. I like this. I'm going to share the article with you guys, okay? Here we go. Oh, by the way, I have done assessors. Yeah, I want to clarify that as well. I may end up doing something like this, by the way. Not the full name, but potentially, if I have some sort of complicated, like for example, this is the typical example, right? Attribute, I think. I may end up doing stuff like this. Okay, I have done stuff like this in the past. I'm also okay with this kind of attributes, assessors, or things like that. This is literally the new way of doing, you know, what we had before in Laravel, which I think is some sort of magic underscore stuff. By the way, this is literally, you can literally come all the way top to give really good auto completion on PHP Storm. You can literally come here and type something like this. Okay, if you do this now on any place that you access the profile URL, this will just work. Okay, if I do something like, you know, let's say new user, I can do this because of the annotation, you see? And this will use this behind the scenes. Oh, thank you so much.
Sassy Muffins.
Thank you so much, Sassy Muffins. By the way, chat, every time now someone subscribes, be sure to leave a message. If you leave a message when you are subscribing my channel, typically that message will be read by this person, okay? That happens with Twitch subscriptions, YouTube members, donations as well. So just leave a message, you know, saying something that you would like to hear. Oh, do you want to know what is profile URL? Yeah, I can explain you that, absolutely. So in Laravel, sometimes you want to add methods to your models, but you want those methods to behave a little bit like regular attributes. So when you do something like this, for example, you want to kind of add another attribute, but you want that attribute to be computed. So what you can do is have this protected function profile URL, for example, with the name of your attribute, and that would return an attribute like this. This is also handy if you have a set, for example. You can literally do this as well. To set stuff on a database if you want to, okay? I've used them a bunch, by the way. If you don't know, by the way, what is the profile URL attribute, you probably have never the need of something like this. Okay, user context. Let's see the web folder. Let's go here into routes and open the web PHP. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. This might be controversial, but I don't like commented code. So every time I see commented code, my first review, either that be on Laravel Cloud or anything else, is if you don't need this code, remove the code. I don't care if you need this code within 3 months from now, just remove the code, because within 3 months from now, you can come back and re-add the code. From my experience, when you are commenting code, you literally don't need it. You know, you will possibly never need that code. It's just there because you think that by commenting, you are still leveraging some of the work you have done, but you are not. You are literally leaving the trash in your code. So just remove the code. You don't need it anymore. On PHP Storm, I'm using AI for auto-completion, okay? By the way, PHP Storm is literally the editor of my choice. It's literally like what I use for PHP professional development. So if you want to use PHP Storm as well, access that link right there. And you know, if you want to do any sort of PHP professional development, it needs to be with PHP Storm, to be honest, okay? But yeah, typically, if you need to comment code, just remove the code because it's not there doing anything, okay? Okay, let's just understand what's happening here. But again, I found confusing that you are literally, you know, using Portuguese instead of just regular English for your own code. So I would use translation on the front end, and that's it. You are also using prefixes on the name. It's not super important. Personally, I'm against it. I like to see like the full name of my route at the end. You are also using camel case for your routing as well. I like to use kebab case. Is that called kebab case, like the dash thing? And I would never call this index utilizador. I will always call this, for example, list of users, or literally nothing really. This could obey to, if you are displaying the context of a user, this could be just this, you know? It doesn't have to be context list, you know what I mean? Okay, let's see the controller, for example. Let's click on HTTP controllers, and let's see this contact controller. Oh boy. Let's copy this and put it here on this contact controller and just refactor a few things. Okay. That's a big one. All right. Kebab case, yeah, that's what I meant, by the way. What's up, 3D? Nice to see you, dude. How you doing? Yeah, kebab case is what I meant for my routing, basically. But I typically never had the need of a dash. Almost never happens. All right, let's see this. So we have a contact controller, which is okay. I typically never extend my base controller, okay? I don't like this. I don't see the reason why we would need this, but I'm gonna check your code and understand why you are doing this. Yeah, exactly for this reason. It's why I don't have abstract controllers, because you end up with methods that are only used on this particular controller, on, you know, in one or two particular controllers, and they are kind of reused between all of the controllers we are seeing right here. So typically, if you need, you know, some sort of helper class, just abstract that away, but don't like mix it that on the abstract controller. I would never do that, okay? What do you guys do? Do you guys typically have an abstract controller or not? I'm not a fan of abstract controllers. I never use them. But what do you guys think about this? Not really? Yeah, okay. So I see that most of you kind of agree with me. So let's come here and literally remove this. What else? Okay, you see this return HTTP response? This is kind of outdated PHP now. You can literally come here and just annotate this. Bunkers, thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much for the subscription, dude. I really appreciate it.
Sans XD.
Oh my god, you gifted 5? Thank you, thank you.
Props_TV. Delvoid. Power BIM.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, literally this is a little bit PHP outdated. You can just remove this and come here and type response, a regular Laravel response, okay? Okay, what else we have here? Okay, so what's happening here is that you want to display a list of contacts. Okay, a list of contacts, and I think that at some point you were doing pagination, but you are not anymore doing pagination. So I'm going to assume and review what is new at the moment, okay? Here you are getting the list of all contacts without any sort of limit or pagination, which is effectively a problem. So here you want to avoid this and literally request either information with a limit or do a regular pagination. Same thing here. And I feel like if you are using the paginate method, you would never need to do something like this because the count goes on the response automatically. And I would not use as well this compact thing. This is too magical and it's too error prone. I don't know if you guys know what compact does, but literally takes this var variable and puts that as a key in as a value. So I would not do that. I would basically come here and I probably would do the same. I would remove this. I would come here and I would type contact query latest paginate with potentially 20. Okay. I like to start my eloquent queries with the query method. Okay. So we don't need this anymore. I'm not really sure what is API request all, but assuming that is something controlled, that you know exactly how many lines are being returned, potentially you could return that as well. Okay. Let's do this. Finally, this is like the complex query you are doing behind the scenes. Typically, the way I like to solve this is by having a queries folder just like this. And inside, you would have a conflicts query or something like that, okay? And what this class would do is return your query in isolation so it can be properly tested. It would be potentially something like this. Okay, and all that complex query you had would potentially be done here. Okay. If you want to, you can even make that static, by the way. I'm okay with that. And it would be basically this. You don't like that the new starter kits are literally in TypeScript and you rather have that in JavaScript. I have the feeling, I'm not sure if it's a thing, but I have the feeling that we are going to see the new starter kits in JavaScript, in plain JavaScript, basically. Not sure though, I'm not sure. Code Cannon 40 is asking, can you recommend me a good resource to learn API development? I would go to Laracast, dude. Laracast is literally the place where I have learned everything I know about PHP, you know? Not only PHP, but literally everywhere. So I literally learn everything I know from this place, okay? With the best teacher in the world, Jeffrey Way. And they have here pretty much everything about modern web development, and I would recommend you to use this, okay? Yeah, you guys see, like, when you see commented code, just remove it, because why is it even there? Just remove it. You can access through Git to how the code was in the past. Same thing to like things like this, which potentially are not being used, just remove it immediately. Oh boy. Oh boy, huge problem here, my friends. Huge problem. You guys see this? There is a bunch of problems here, okay? I have made an entire video talking about this. The biggest problem about this situation right here is that because I'm not validating that this needs to be a string that starts with potentially just 3 and finishes with 255, is that through query URLs, people can send me a boolean, can send me an array, can send me anything, and that will cause a runtime exception. You know? The validation is on the JavaScript? Dude, don't trust JavaScript for anything, dude. You know, for anything, really. Give me 1 second here. No, for real, literally, do not trust on JavaScript for anything. I don't care what your JavaScript is doing. You always validate the input on the backend. Okay? That's a very important thing. I don't care like what your JavaScript is doing. You always validate everything on the backend. So here, you assume the worst. You assume that people are doing no matter what, you know what I mean? And you validate that the first name is a string that starts with 3, at least 3 characters, that finishes with at least 255, and you validate the full thing. Because I can literally bypass your JavaScript and send you an array, or send you like bad information, you know what I mean? So that can be applied to every single validation rule you have here. Every single one. Because people can literally send you whatever inside these fields at the moment, because you are not validating anything whatsoever. The only field being actually validated is this one, email. And I think it's the only one. The rest of them are literally open for the entire world. Great question. Why is it nullable but minimum 3? That's a good question. I don't think this would ever be null, but let's assume the first name can actually be null. What you want to do here is, okay, it might be null, but if it's not null, require at least 3 characters. Okay. I don't think it's possible to do SQL injection, okay? The type of things I'm talking about right now, it's still like to avoid exceptions on the database. However, Laravel is very good preventing SQL injections, okay? When you do something like this, Laravel will take care of you, basically. So, you know, I would also not do it this way. I would, you know, I would literally do this. Contact. I would do create, and I would provide all the fields inside. I would also like make use some of the Laravel goodies like this one, okay? Do we have an integer here? I don't think we do. Yeah, always strings. These are potentially booleans, so here I would have to validate that this is a boolean. Here the same thing. Okay. Yeah, but just to explain it, dude, like literally all this stuff here needs to be validated on the back end, and do never trust on the front end, basically. Okay. Yeah, I know. I literally use the query all the time. Oh my god. Apologize. Give me 1 second here. I feel I'm becoming sick. Jesus Christ. Yeah, typically I do this basically. But you know, I don't have to do it. Just something I like to do. Oh, thank you, thank you. You could potentially as well, by the way. No, I would do it this way still, yeah. So I don't need this. And if we turn back with data, well, depend how the front end is reacting, but yeah. So this would be response. This is not even being used. Yeah, this goes away. Okay, this is a little bit confusing because you are showing a specified resource, but then you are kind of behaving a little bit like the index, it seems, like this one. Right? So this is not even being used. So this could be removed as well. So this would be response, or not even response, this could be just view actually. This will be contact. All of these methods seems like so similar, dude. Oh, they are being provided here. Interesting. Oh, I know what you're doing. You basically need the same information all the time, but you are providing one more information here. Gotcha. I have a question though. Does this contact model requires... Let me see something. If I go to my models, if I click on contact, do I have a user ID relation? Maybe not. Otherwise, you have to validate this information as well. So database, migrations, create contact stable. Okay, you don't. I would expect to see like user ID here, but you don't have that. So I assume that contacts are just public and, you know, doesn't matter who really created the contacts. Yeah, front-end validation is literally optional, but back-end validation is a must. You need to always do that, okay? Yeah, very good point. I was thinking about that, like potentially here. The reason why I didn't want to do that to begin with is that, you know, because I'm not controlling, like, this is not being all validated, but assume that all of these things are actually proper validated. Potentially what I would do here is this. Like realistically, how I would solve this, I'm going to just tell you, okay? Realistically, is that I would have here a create contact request, which would ensure that everything is validated. So all of this stuff would move to the form request. And then here I would have request validated being sent to the contact. This is how I would solve this effectively, okay? Which is way more simpler in my opinion. But also, just again, in case you didn't got it, I don't care if the code is being validated on the front end or on the JavaScript. You need to always validate things on the back end. That's it. You know, people can bypass JavaScript just like this. Bam. Okay, because this is literally exposed to your user, and people can bypass that front end so quickly, you know. Okay, I think the real teaching here today, folks, is always validate on the back end, no matter what the front end is doing. Okay. Oh, great question from Tuawaka, which is sometimes we are returning views that are, you know, kind of sharing information between them a little bit. So which is the case here? I think like there is this code is always copy pasted all over the place, right? I think with inertia here, I would return back always. Okay, so that would never be a question. In this case, I feel I would probably simplify this a little bit, and I would return to route, basically. So I would store and return to index. Okay, so I don't have to literally replicate or that code over there. So I'll return to route there. Realistically, if the front end is literally just yeah, yeah, man, thank you so much for the donation on YouTube. I really appreciate your support, dude. Thank you, and thank you so much for saying keep it up. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. Hi Luis, nice to see you, dude. How you doing? What do I use for the front end? I typically use, I'm using so many stuff at the moment, but I use Livewire and React. That's my front end of preferences, you know? I guess you guys got the point here. Let's see something else though. Let's go here and potentially... What do we have here? This is Laravel 10, right? It's Laravel 8. Oh my god. What tests do you have? Just what? Okay, the tests that come by default with starter kit. I see. So we talked about models. What can we talk about? Oh, we have middlewares. Interesting. Yeah, very important thing, folks, is like when you don't need the code, just remove the code, because you may end up with situations like this, which, you know, a bunch of code you have here is literally just not doing anything whatsoever. Yeah, like this DD, for example, you see this? This is not doing anything here. It can be removed. Same goes for this one. By the way, Shad, I think one of you asked me today, how do I handle exceptions sometimes? So the way I'm handling, for example, exceptions on Laravel Cloud is the following. So if I have, for example, here, something like project, I don't know, application unavailable, for example. Oh, thank you so much for the raid, Cia Films. Appreciate it. Thank you. And welcome to the Raiders. So if I were to have something like application failed or whatever, or deployment failed, for example, what you can have in exceptions, which not a lot of people know about, is exceptions can also answer to a lot of to the web layer. Okay, so if you have something like this, which is potentially a logic exception, okay, what you can do here is literally have a method with the name render, and literally render anything to the UI. So typically, you could have something like render back with errors, so inertia would display them, for example. Something like this. Something went wrong while initiating the deployment. Please try again later. And you can do something like case ID, for example, equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so people can contact support, for example. So if this exception ends up bubbling up to Laravel, Laravel will answer properly to the UI with potentially something like this. Okay. How do I bypass Livewire bad performance? I feel like if you have bad performance using Livewire, it's probably because you are missing some expertise on Livewire to how make it fast. Basically, Livewire also requires you to know a little bit of JavaScript, so you can literally do things in the very performant way. So it really feels like an SPA. Saber Hammett, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate your support. I also love Livewire. I love Livewire. Livewire does have an interface for the force render, literally. I think it's $refresh, I think. Use on Livewire, you use $refresh, that will basically refresh your UI. You know? It's a hook, basically. Okay, so regarding this project we are visualizing at the moment, I feel like it's a good start, but I can immediately understand that you are either starting with Laravel or starting potentially your PHP career. That is multiple things while navigating around that I would do differently. I would advise you to literally just stick up a little bit on these live streams, because I feel you will learn a lot with some of the code reviews we are going to do in the future. Okay. But obviously, you know, things like this is things you need to start fixing like since today, basically. You cannot, for example, accept any sort of input that people give you and not validated, you know, like you were doing on the other pull request. Things like this, for example, you see? You're not even validating the request. You are literally saying just whatever people send me on the front end, just put that on the back end. And this, I can see this blowing up super fast. And yeah, thank you for submitting this though. I feel like, you know, the teachings regarding form validation are really important. It's the third project we see, I think, that have problems with form requests. And I was wondering if there is a way on past PHP to kind of check these things for you, so you don't have to literally go controller by controller, see if you have proper validation, and have past PHP just do that for you. Oh, why are you saying sorry, dude? I'm saying thank you. I really appreciate you setting this, project, because I can tell you that a lot of people do make this mistake. Even like, I don't think any of the projects I have reviewed didn't face this mistake, by the way. So I appreciate you setting this project, and feel free to send me another projects if you want to. Exactly, thank you. Let's clap for Baroza for sharing this project with us that allow us to have a nice and friendly discussion about code. Thank you, Baroza, for sharing this with us, man. Thank you, thank you. Saber, thank you again for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. It's your third super chat. Thank you, thank you. By the way, chat, I have this idea, because we are almost closing up here as well. I have this idea of doing, this might sound ridiculous, because I have a lot of ideas and sometimes I don't do those ideas. That may happen multiple times. I have this idea of running a conference on the live stream. Like literally opening a space where you guys can submit a talk, jump on the live stream, do a 20 minutes talk, a 10 minutes talk, and just have an entire Saturday of talks of the new nodation. What do you guys think about this? I think it would be cool, just literally to have you guys coming on the live stream and just do a talk for the audience. I mean, I do have decent people watching me, like literally, you know, always more than 100 people across the channels. So I think it would be a good thing for some of you come to my live stream and just do a talk, and you know, for some of you, it will probably be your first time doing public speaking, which is so powerful. So, yeah. Why I don't use fillables? Because I use unguarded modables, basically. So what I do is on my app service provider, I just call this model unguard, basically. And then the only thing I need to worry about is on my user model, I specify the hidden tokens. And obviously, to use something like as powerful as not using fillable, something you need to ensure is that every time you use something like model update, for example, you need to make sure that you are validating the input, okay? You need to always validate the input that comes from the request layer, and only then you can use directly these updates. But basically, I want to be able to interact with this update, with this create method freely without ever need to go to the fillable attribute. Okay. Yeah, some online meetup, exactly. I mean, this is not insecure as long as you validate your input. That's it. All right, folks, today a lot of people submitted projects. So we finished this one. We have still this one, call it PHP contributing from Daniel Lopes. We have this Audi Suite app from Michael. We have this task signer from Hamed. We have a bunch of projects to validate. We need a way of having you guys submit projects to me. Do you guys have ideas of platforms I could use to kind of just keep a list of projects I need to validate on the stream? I mean, one idea is on the Discord channel, we could potentially, oh, you guys cannot see my channel? Let me go here. There we go. We could potentially come here and do create channel. Let's do here something like review my project, for example. Let's create this channel. Yeah, just put the links here basically, okay? I'm gonna put this one and this one and this one. Just basically come to my Discord channel, okay? Come to my Discord channel and just post your projects here. By the way, I don't want to review packages, okay? I don't think packages are a great resource for teaching. I think people want to see Laravel apps and how they can improve their apps. So just publish Laravel applications. Don't publish packages, okay? Thank you, thank you. Yeah, on Discord, I think is a good idea for sure. Ah, no way. I could find someone doing PHP on Twitch. Literally. Is this PHP? It is a different PHP though. Yeah, you can change the ignoring method if you want to ignore things on the past PHP preset, okay? You're welcome. PHP Arch is doing stream, but they don't stream on Twitch, they do? Oh, they do! Oh my god, I'm gonna rate them so hardcore. Oh god, oh, the raid today will be awesome, dudes. PHP Arch. Okay, let's do that. I don't know if they have the notifications enabled, but let's do that. Here we go, here we go. All right, dudes, thank you so much for coming today. I love you all. Catch you guys on the next live stream. That being said, peace out.